if there are any plans to deal with the Uber and Lyft problem, which are congesting our city streets, exacerbating climate change and poaching riders from public transportation. I mean, the transportation component, where is that in SB 50?
Sure.
And what are the protections of neighborhood commercial?
Yeah, so a few things. First of all,
Repeat the question.
yeah, so the question, I'm going to repeat the question, even though there were some inaccurate statements in that question. One was that SB 50 is a plan to increase the population of San Francisco, and then what are the plans to increase investment in public transportation so that as you grow, you have more transit, and to address the Uber Lyft issue of congestion. So I'm just repeating what she said. Oh, and then neighborhood commercial. This is a housing bill. It's not about a plan to increase population. Population is what it is, and the reality is that the population in San Francisco, for example, has gone up dramatically, starting well before we were building much housing at all. San Francisco was down to about, I believe it was under 700,000 people. It's now probably around over 900,000 people. And that growth is not happening because, oh, you build housing, so therefore you have more people. People come here because they want to live. They came here for the same reason I came here as a 27-year-old in 1997, and the same reason why everyone in this room who is not a native came here. At some point, we all came here because of this amazing city called San Francisco. And so this is not about me or anyone else saying we want to peg the population here or here. The population, people come regardless of whether you build housing. And if you don't build enough housing, it doesn't mean that your population growth doesn't happen. It means that a lot of people become homeless and get evicted and get priced out, even if they're natives. And so this is not about what the population should be. It's, are we going to have enough housing for the people in our city or in our state? That's really the question. So I just don't disagree. I don't agree with that characterization of what the bill is. So in terms of public transportation, as you know, Sue, I have been a long advocate for investment in public transportation. The only major public fight I ever had with Mayor Lee was over Proposition B that I authored to tie public transportation funding to population growth, which passed. It's a big fight, but it passed, and it's really benefited transit funding in San Francisco. We're doing quite a bit to dig out of our hole where we've underinvested in transit in California. We passed in 2017, Senate Bill 1, the largest transportation funding measure in the history of California, $5.2 billion a year. It was a gas tax increase, an increase in the vehicle registration fee. One of my colleagues in the Senate was recalled from office for voting for that bill. It was a very brave vote that he took. And then the voters, you saw there was an effort to repeal that with Proposition 6, and the voters rejected it. So it's $5.2 billion a year, and almost $1 billion of that is new investment in public transportation. That was not enough, but that was a big move. In addition, we passed the BART bond, 2016, I guess, to make sure that BART is now fully funded for all of its capital needs over the next 10 years. We passed Regional Measure 3, which increases the bridge tolls to fund overwhelmingly public transportation. And then I co-authored a bill by Senator Ting last year to authorize San Francisco to go to the voters with a fee for rideshare, for Uber and Lyft, and other rideshares to fund public transportation. So we are doing a lot of work to try to increase investment in transit. You're not going to solve your problem in one bill. In fact, it would be a violation of the law for me to put transportation funding measure, combine it into the same bill as Senate Bill 50, called the single subject, where we can't have a bill that has 10 different things in it and focus on one general subject area in the bill. But we are separately doing a lot of work to increase investment in public transit, and there's a lot to do. In terms of, it was protecting neighborhood commercial.
What are the protections for you?
Yeah, so the Senate Bill 50 does not in any way preclude cities from continuing to have zoning around mixed use. And so mixed use would still be, well, if it's required under city law. So San Francisco has various rules. There are places where you have to build, have retail on the ground floor, places where you don't. And this wouldn't change any of that. So San Francisco will still have control over its own destiny there. And because of the bill's strict anti-demolition protections, I don't think you're going to be seeing demolition as a result.
Now, what about the Housing Accountability Act? So doesn't that syncs with SB 50? It's mentioned a couple of times. I've heard you say our demolition rules are protected, and there's an interpretation of the city of San Francisco that the Housing Accountability Act overrides our demolition.
So the Housing Accountability Act, for those who don't know, is a law that California adopted. I think it was 1982, it was the early 80s, been on the books for 35 years. In 2017, there was legislation in the legislature that put more teeth into it because it was routinely being ignored. The Housing Accountability Act is designed so that it prohibits cities from arbitrarily rejecting or downsizing projects that are within zoning. So when a city, for example, says we're zoning this for, just making this up, 50 feet up to 20 units, you can't then say, well, we know we put this in our housing element, it's 50 feet and 20 units, but we're only going to let you build 7 units there and can only be 30 feet. That doesn't happen as much in San Francisco, happens in other parts of the state all the time. So the Housing Accountability Act says you have to comply with your own rules and you can't arbitrarily reject or downsize projects. So that's what the Housing Accountability Act does. Yes?
Thank you.